Setting healthy emotional boundaries is important in any relationship, but it's especially important when your romantic partner suffers from depression because it can get really easy to get all tangled up in their emotional experience and to notice that you are feeling sad, that you are feeling overwhelmed or hopeless or lonely or angry or frustrated. But you can get all of these emotions that are all tied up and related to what your partner is going through in their depression. That's why I want to talk about boundaries today. And we are going to get really clear on what emotional boundaries are, what they do for you. This actually a secret superpower boundaries give you. And I'm also going to give you a very simple exercise that you can do to help clarify your existing boundaries and work towards creating really healthy boundaries in your relationship. First, for those of you who don't know me, I am Rachel Sloan. I'm a relationship coach and a certified NLP practitioner, and I work with women who love depressed partners to help them get healthy, get happy, and live their very best lives, regardless of what happens with their partner. If you are finding this channel helpful, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. You will help me reach lots more people that way, and you also won't miss any new videos. Okay, with that all said, let's talk boundaries. So we have to get super clear here on what I mean when I say boundaries, because there's a lot of information out there about setting boundaries in a relationship, and most of them are not talking about the same thing I am. So boundaries are not setting rules for behaviors that you will not accept. So this is what a lot of people talk about when they refer to boundaries. They say, oh, boundaries, there's certain behaviors I'm not going to tolerate. It might be somebody swearing in front of my children. It might be, a person doing something unacceptable, something violent towards you. There's behaviors that you decide on purpose not to tolerate. You're going to remove yourself from a situation if somebody violates those boundaries. That is not the kind of boundary I am talking about today. I am talking about emotional boundaries. I am talking about getting real clarity on where your emotional experience starts and stops and where your partner's emotional experience starts and stops. I'm talking about really getting clear on the fact that I am me and you are you. That we are separate individuals having separate thoughts, separate feelings, and that we are individually responsible for the way we think and feel. I am responsible for my thoughts and feelings. My husband is responsible for his thoughts and feelings. You are responsible for your thoughts and feelings. Your partner is responsible for his thoughts and feelings. I want to share with you a quote, something that one of my coaching buddies said to me. We were talking about boundary work, and she said she wants to have clear boundaries with her friends, but she does not want to have clear boundaries with her husband, because she believes that loving her husband means feeling his pain. If he's sad, she should be sad. If he's happy, she shares his happiness. She has this belief, this internalized thought pattern, that loving him, part of loving him, is sharing in his emotional ups and downs. I think this is such a common belief. I think especially for women, this is something many of us believe, whether we're conscious of it or not, that we should feel our partner's pain. We should share in his highs and lows. And if we don't feel what he's feeling, we are somehow not a good partner, not a loving partner. It's nice, right? This is a nice idea. This is a sweet way of thinking, but you guys, it is not helpful. This is not helpful to you. And it is not helpful to your partner, because the idea is that you're sharing his emotional experience. But the truth is that this type of thinking actually prevents you from sharing in his emotion. It prevents you from really understanding and getting to know how he is feeling. Let me tell you why. When your partner is sad, he's having an emotional experience, right? He's having, if you follow the NLP stuff, he's having a visual component, an auditory component, a kinesthetic, emotional component to his sadness. There's something he sees, there's something he hears, there's thoughts in his head, there's feelings in his body. You think, oh, I should feel sad because he's sad, I need to share in his sadness. Well, when you feel sad about the same thing he's feeling sad about, you experience your own visual imagery, your own auditory, your own thoughts narrating that sadness, your own set of physical sensations. It becomes yours, and you experience sadness, you structure sadness in your mind in a very specific way that is different from the way your partner is structuring sadness. So when you are just sharing that emotion, when you're feeling sad because he's sad, you are feeling sadness your own way. And you think that you are commiserating, you think you're being empathetic, but really it prevents you from getting curious. You think you already are sharing his sadness, you know how he feels, you're suffering the way he's suffering. So you don't ask the questions. You don't ask him what sadness is like for him. You don't actually know what he's feeling in his body. You don't know what he's seeing in his mind. You don't know what he's hearing, what thoughts are going through his head. You believe you do because you have your own thoughts, your own images, your own feelings that are sadness. His are different. So it's a beautiful idea to share in somebody's pain and to share in somebody's joy. But when you believe that you're doing that, it prevents you from actually finding out what joy or pain is like for that person. You don't know. Don't you want to know? Isn't it more compassionate? Isn't it more loving to be curious about what his experience is, how that is structured in his brain, what he's really going through? Okay, that's my little soapbox about why this work is so important and why it is just such a falsehood that you need to have this like shared emotional experience with your partner. Boundaries actually allow you, clear emotional boundaries actually allow you to be more compassionate, more loving, and more curious about your partner's emotional experience. Setting clear emotional boundaries also gives you one incredible superpower. It lets you say no. This is something that is so hard for a lot of women. We really are invested in pleasing other people, especially our romantic partners. But when we have clear emotional boundaries, we know that when I say no to you, I am saying that for my own reasons, because of my own thoughts and feelings based on my own needs. And your response to my no is your responsibility, not mine. If you don't like that I said no, that's your responsibility. That is caused by your thoughts that are driving your feelings. It's not on me. It's not my responsibility. And it gives us, having the freedom to say no is one, just an amazing thing. It will free up so much time and energy for you to go after the things you really want. And it makes you more honest in your relationship. It gives your partner a chance to know who you really are. Because when you're just agreeing and going along all the time, trying to make him happy, you are deceiving him about the real you, about your real desires, about your real thoughts. So getting clear on your emotional boundaries gives you this power to say no, frees you to say no, and gives your partner the great gift of knowing who you really are. And don't they deserve to know that? So the exercise I have for you today is a little bit different than some of the work we've done. This is something that you are actually going to do with your partner. So most of our techniques have focused really just on you and your own internal experience. Today, I want you to start getting really curious about what other people are experiencing. So here is my challenge to you. I want you to notice, this doesn't have to be with your partner, it can be. It can also be with somebody else in your life. It can be with a friend or a parent or even a child. I want you to get super curious about how they experience different emotions, how they structure, what their internal structure of an emotion is like. Let me tell you what I mean. When you're talking to somebody who is experiencing an emotion, say they are really happy. This doesn't have to be something negative. They're really excited about something. I want you to ask them questions, not about why they're excited. I don't want you to hear like the great promotion they got at work and like all the content around the excitement. I want you to understand how they are excited. What does excitement feel like in their body? Where do they feel it? Do they feel it in their stomach? Do they feel it in their chest? Do they feel it in their head or their throat? How do they experience it physically and mentally? When they're excited, what are they saying to themselves? Do they have a narrative in their head that explains that excitement? Do they see something? This is such a fun question to ask people. Like, oh, I hear you're really excited about this new promotion. Can I ask you a really weird question? If you close your eyes and think about your new promotion, do you see something? Do you see an image in your mind? The images that we see, because we all have these images all the time and we're usually not aware of them. So when you ask people about them, it can be really fun because not only do you learn something about how they're structuring, how they're experiencing this emotion, they might become aware of an image they didn't even know they were responding to. This is a wonderful exercise to bond with somebody. I would highly recommend making sure it's somebody that you already have a good connection with. It's somebody that's comfortable with you so that they're willing to open up. But you can explore all kinds of emotions. When somebody's feeling sad, instead of asking why they're sad, try to understand how they're sad. What are they feeling in their body? What are they seeing in their mind? What are they hearing? You can do this by asking direct questions, like in the example I just gave you. You can also do it by paying really close attention to the language they use. Do they talk about how it seems? Or when I look into the future, if they use a word like I look into the future and I see, that's a hint that they're having a visual image of what the future looks like. Pay attention to the language they use. If they're talking about a great weight on their shoulders, it's a physical sensation that they are describing. Start paying attention to how other people are experiencing emotions. The reason that this is such a good tool for establishing emotional boundaries is that as you do this, you will start to recognize that other people are experiencing emotions differently than you are. So when you and your partner are both happy, say you're both excited about something coming up this weekend or something really good happened in your life and you're both feeling happy about it, notice, how are you happy? Where do you feel it in your body? What do you see in your mind's eye? What is that little voice in your head? What are your thoughts telling you? And then ask your partner some questions. How do they feel happy? How does it feel in their body? What do they see in their mind? What are their thoughts about this event? You'll notice that you are both happy, you're both feeling the same emotion about the same circumstance, but the way you are structuring happiness, the way happiness feels and looks on the inside for you is very different than how it feels and looks on the inside for your partner. I strongly encourage you to go out there and get curious about other people's emotional experiences. How are they experiencing emotion? This exercise will give you so much insight because it is shocking. Like, I did this with my husband and I couldn't believe 9 years together, and I've always assumed that he shared certain experiences. Like, I feel a certain way. I always assumed that he was feeling that he was seeing that it was the same to him because we're so connected, right? We spend so much time together, we talk so much, we're so in tune, and yet he's over there having a totally different experience of joy than I'm having. And guys, not only does it help you get really clear on your emotional boundaries, it's also really cool to get an insight into how somebody else experiences joy. Because our brains are so different and so powerful, and the way we structure our emotional experiences really drives how we perceive the world and how we show up. So getting a little insight into how a loved one perceives and experiences emotion will give you so much insight into the way that they show up, to the way that they behave. So this is also a great compassion exercise, and it's a great boundary exercise. So go out and start asking questions and tell me how it goes. I really want to hear about this one because I just think this is so cool, because for me, it was like such an eye-opening experience to start talking to my husband this way and start realizing that he is having such a different experience than me, and how that must affect the way he sees the world and what life is like for him. So take a look around, get curious, be nosy, ask some weird questions, and see what you get. And please share in the comments. All right, I will see you tomorrow.